Most people assume once you lose muscle after 60, that's it. Game over. You can slow it down, maybe, but reversing it? That sounds too good to be true. But here's the thing. That's not what the research says, because more and more evidence is showing, if you do the right things, in the right way, at the right time, your muscles can still grow stronger, even in your 70s. We're talking about reclaiming strength you thought was gone for good, feeling steadier on stairs, lifting things with ease again, even walking with more confidence because your legs feel planted, solid, capable. And for many older adults, that's not just physical change. That's freedom. Now, if you're in your 60s or 70s and you've already noticed some strength loss, or maybe you just feel slower, less steady, more tired than you used to. This isn't something to ignore. Because sarcopenia, the silent muscle loss that creeps in after midlife, can take more than just strength. It chips away at energy, mobility, and even independence. But here's the hopeful truth most people never hear. It's not too late to turn things around. If you're over 60 and care about staying strong, focused, and independent, this is something worth knowing. Because what you do now can change how you feel 6 months, a year, even 5 years from now. Stick with me till the end. I'll share the small mistakes that often slow progress, the real science behind muscle recovery at 70 plus, and one overlooked strategy that could make all the difference. And hey, if you're getting value from this already, do me a quick favor. Tap that like button, share this with someone who might need it, and consider subscribing. It's free, and every week we cover science-backed tips to help you feel your best at every age. Let's start with something real. Picture this. You've noticed the stairs feel steeper than they used to. Your legs don't push you up as easily. You pause at the bottom, just for a second, before climbing. Not because you're in pain, just hesitation, instinct, your body checking in before you move. Now that might not sound like much, but it's one of the earliest signs that sarcopenia is setting in. Not weakness, you see, but weakness you feel. In your balance, your endurance, the way your body reacts when you shift your weight. The NIH notes that after 60, sarcopenia becomes increasingly common and often goes unnoticed until it's already affecting quality of life. But here's the twist. Studies show that targeted strength training, improved protein intake, and certain nutritional strategies can reverse some of that decline, even after 70. This isn't about becoming a bodybuilder or doing anything extreme. It's about retraining your body to hold on to the strength it still knows how to build, with a little help. And when that process starts, it doesn't just improve your body, it changes your mind. Because as strength returns, so does confidence. That sense that, I've got this, that you can move without worrying, that you trust your legs when you step off a curb, that you're not just surviving, you're living. So how does this reversal actually work? What shifts in your body? And how do you support it? Let's talk about the first big key. Your muscles aren't dead. They're just dormant. And with the right signals, they wake up fast. Harvard researchers explain that even in older adults, muscle cells still retain the ability to grow and repair. The problem isn't potential, it's stimulation. Because without enough challenge, like resistance, movement, tension, the muscles get the signal. We're not needed. And they shrink. So when you start giving them a new signal, even something as simple as bodyweight squats or resistance bands, your muscles perk up. They remember what to do. But there's a catch. And this part surprises a lot of people. After 60, your body doesn't respond to those signals the way it used to. It takes longer. It's slower to adapt. And it needs more nutritional backup to do the same work. That's why the second key is timing and fuel. Not just eating more protein, but spreading it across the day. Not just moving more, but recovering smarter. And here's where it gets interesting. Because when you pair those things correctly, even someone in their 70s can regain real strength better balance, and greater energy in just a few months. That's what we'll begin exploring next. Not just what to do, but how to do it in a way that works for aging muscles. So when you start sending those wake-up signals to your muscles, even gently, even slowly, your body doesn't ignore them. It listens. It might take a little longer to respond, but deep down, the machinery is still there. The blueprint for strength never disappears. It just gets quiet. And when you feed it the right way, with movement, protein, and recovery, it starts building again. Now, this doesn't mean lifting heavy weights or pushing yourself to exhaustion. In fact, that's one of the biggest misconceptions out there. Because for older adults, the most effective path isn't intensity, it's consistency. Gentle, regular resistance, like pushing against a wall, slowly rising from a chair without using your hands, or stepping up and down a single stair, can start to reverse years of quiet decline. Not in a week, but over weeks and months. The changes can feel dramatic. You'll feel it when carrying groceries doesn't leave you winded. You'll feel it when getting out of a low car seat no longer takes effort. You'll feel it in those little moments that used to make you pause. But don't anymore. What's really happening behind the scenes? It starts with something called neuromuscular reactivation, a fancy way of saying your brain and muscles are learning to talk to each other again. Because when sarcopenia sets in, it's not just the muscle tissue that weakens, it's the connection. That's why early reversal doesn't always show up in size. It shows up in control, in how steady you feel when you reach for something, in how quickly your body reacts when you lose balance. According to Mayo Clinic experts, many adults over 70 experience slowed reflexes not because of age alone, but because their muscle fibers and nerves aren't firing in sync anymore. But with regular movement, especially purposeful resistance, that communication begins to rebuild. Your coordination sharpens, your balance improves. You begin trusting your body again. And here's something most people don't realize. One of the first muscles to improve during reversal isn't in your arms or legs. It's your core. That deep group of stabilizing muscles that helps you stay upright, protects your spine, and keeps your body from swaying when you walk. As those core muscles activate, your posture straightens. You breathe more fully. You even digest more efficiently. It's a ripple effect that goes beyond strength. It changes how your whole system operates. But this only works if you support the process from the inside, too. Because without the right nutrition, your body doesn't have the raw materials to rebuild. And here's where it gets personal for a lot of older adults, because most people over 60 aren't eating nearly enough protein to support muscle regrowth. Not because they don't want to, but because appetite shifts, smaller meals, medication side effects, or early satiety get in the way. Harvard Health reports that older adults often consume 25 to 30% less protein than their body actually needs to maintain muscle, let alone build more. And timing matters too. Getting all your protein at dinner isn't as helpful as spreading it throughout the day. Even a small dose at breakfast can make a huge difference in how your muscles respond. Think of it like this. Your body is a construction site, and protein is the building material. If you only deliver the supplies once a day, progress slows. But if you deliver smaller batches steadily across the day, that site stays active. Rebuilding continues. Now, some people also ask about shakes, powders, or supplements. Are they necessary? Sometimes, but only if you're not getting enough through food. What's more important is absorption. As we age, our digestion becomes less efficient, and nutrients like vitamin D, magnesium, and B12 often run low, even with a good diet. And all of those nutrients support the muscle-building process in different ways. One example. Vitamin D plays a direct role in muscle contraction and balance. That's why low D levels are linked to higher fall risk in seniors, according to the NIH. So if you're working hard to regain strength, but not seeing results, it might not be your workout. It might be your absorption. That's why muscle reversal isn't just a fitness goal. It's a whole body process, and it only works when every piece is supported. Even inflammation plays a role. And as we age, many of us experience low-grade chronic inflammation, often triggered by processed foods, poor sleep, or stress. And that inflammation, it interferes with muscle repair. It's like trying to build a house during a rainstorm. But when you reduce that internal stress by sleeping better, managing stress, eating fewer processed foods, suddenly your body gets clearer signals. Let's rebuild. This process is slow, it's quiet, but it's deeply powerful. And just when people start to think, maybe I'm too old to turn this around, that's often when they notice the first real sign that they're not. So what happens when someone at 70 actually sticks with this? We'll explore that next, and look at how research, real-life stories, and one surprising nutrient are reshaping what we thought was possible after 70. So let's say you've been showing up consistently. You've started those small strength-building movements. You're spacing protein across the day. You're sleeping better, cutting back on processed foods, maybe even going for a walk after lunch just to keep your muscles engaged. Then something starts to shift. You bend to pick something up, and stand up without that little push from your hand. You carry a laundry basket, and realize it doesn't feel as heavy as it used to. You walk across a parking lot, and your legs feel steady, not wobbly. That's what reversal looks like. Not overnight transformation, but functional wins. Quiet proof that your muscles are listening. Now here's where things get even more interesting, because over the past decade, researchers have started zeroing in on something that can amplify those gains, especially for adults over 60. It's not trendy, it's not new, but it works. It's creatine. Now, if that word brings to mind images of weightlifters and gym bros, let's pause for a second. Because for older adults, creatine is showing serious promise, not for bulking up, but for something far more practical, preserving strength, improving balance, and reducing fatigue. Here's why. Your muscles rely on a molecule called ATP to function. It's your body's short-burst energy source, and creatine helps replenish it. Think about movements like standing up from a chair, catching yourself when you trip, lifting a bag of groceries. That's ATP in action. But as we age, our natural creatine levels decline, which means our energy reserves get weaker and recovery takes longer. That's why several large studies, including one cited by the Journal of Cachexia, Sarcopenia, and Muscle, have explored what happens when older adults supplement with creatine, alongside light resistance movement. And the results? Greater gains in muscle strength, improved lean mass, better grip strength, and in some cases, even enhanced cognitive function, because your brain uses ATP too. It's not hype, it's physiology. One recent meta-analysis found that adults over 60 who combined creatine with even mild strength training saw better results than those who trained without it. Now, it's important to say this clearly. Creatine isn't a magic fix, and it's not for everyone. But for many older adults, especially those noticing muscle loss, low energy, or balance issues, it can be one more supportive tool. So what kind of creatine should you look for? The most studied, safest, and most widely recommended form is creatine monohydrate. Not the fancy blends, not the flavored powders. Just 3 to 5 grams per day of plain, well-researched creatine, ideally taken with water or food. And most importantly, you have to pair it with movement, because creatine is like a spark plug, but your muscles still need to turn the key. Without movement, the benefits are limited. With movement, it's fuel. Now, if you're wondering about safety, multiple reviews, including from NIH and Cleveland Clinic sources, show that creatine is generally safe for healthy older adults when taken in standard doses. That said, always check with your doctor, especially if you have kidney concerns, take diuretics, or are managing other health conditions. And that brings us to something that often gets missed in these conversations. Because muscle reversal isn't just about protein and supplements. It's about how you feel. And when older adults start to regain strength, even a little, everything changes. That low-grade fear of falling, it softens. That hesitation when walking in a crowded room, it fades. That belief that, maybe I'm just too old for this? It gets replaced with something stronger, hope. Because for the first time in a while, you're not just watching time pass, you're shaping what comes next. And that's something no supplement, no doctor, no number on a chart can define. It's something you create, with your choices, your consistency, your mindset. And when you feel that shift, when you trust your body again, it's not just reversal, it's renewal. So where do you begin? Especially if it's been years since you focused on strength. You start right where you are. Because muscle doesn't care how old you are. It cares whether it's needed. And when you start asking it to show up, even gently, it will. You don't need to join a gym or hire a personal trainer. You don't need to lift heavy weights or follow a complicated routine. Start by standing from a chair without using your hands. That's not just a move. It's a message. It tells your legs, your core, your stabilizers. We still need you. Walk a little farther than yesterday. Carry your groceries with intention. Hold a wall push-up for a few seconds longer. These moments may seem small, but they're how reversal begins. And yes, you might feel sore at first. That's okay. That's your body remembering how to adapt. But don't push through sharp pain, and don't rush it. You're not in a race. You're in a rebuild. And steady, patient effort is what your muscles need most. The same goes for nutrition. You don't have to change everything overnight. Start by making sure you get some protein at breakfast, even just a boiled egg or a scoop of Greek yogurt. Drink water more often. Hydration supports muscle performance and recovery. And if your meals are light, consider whether a supplement might help fill the gaps. Talk to your doctor. Ask about vitamin D, B12, creatine, or a basic protein powder. Not because you want to bulk up, but because you want to stay mobile, strong, and independent. Bring up sarcopenia by name. Most people don't, and many doctors appreciate when patients are proactive, especially with something that affects so much more than strength. You can even ask for a grip strength test. It's quick, it's easy, and it's one of the earliest ways to spot age-related muscle loss before it shows up elsewhere. But more than anything, stay consistent, because this isn't just about your muscles. It's about your confidence, about getting out of bed with less hesitation, walking across a room without looking for something to lean on, picking up a grandchild without second-guessing your balance. Those are the things that make life feel full. And that's what reversing sarcopenia at 70 is really about. It's not about how you look. It's about how you live. More ease, more stability, more freedom, and maybe most importantly, more trust in your own body. Because here's the truth. You didn't lose strength because you weren't trying hard enough. You lost it because no one told you what to look for, or how much your body still wants to respond, no matter your age. You're not broken. You're not too late. You're just waking up something that's been waiting patiently. And once it starts coming back, you'll wonder why nobody talked about this sooner. Aging doesn't mean slowing down. It means living wiser. It means making smarter choices, asking better questions, and tuning in to what your body actually needs, instead of what the calendar says you can't do. With smart support, consistent movement, and just a little patience, reversing muscle loss at 70 isn't a myth. It's a method, and it's available to you, today, tomorrow, and in every moment you decide to show up for yourself again. So if you've noticed the stairs getting easier, if you've stood up with less effort, if you feel just a little more stable than you did last month, those are your victories. Keep them going, because health doesn't have an expiration date. And strength isn't just for the young, it's for anyone who chooses to rebuild. If this helped you feel more informed or confident, consider subscribing. It's free, and we share science-backed health tips every week, especially for adults over 60. And if you know someone who might need to hear this, share it with them. You never know who's waiting for a reason to start moving again. Thanks for being here, and keep choosing strength.